Welcome back to the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, brought to you as always by the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as DraftKings. Make sure you use promo code THPN at sign up on the DraftKings Sportsbook app for amazing deals and opportunities. I know the Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor trilogy match is this weekend. They have a lot of good deals there. If you sign up using code THPN and pick one of the two fighters to have a first round knockout, you could win $264. As easy as that on a $1 bet. So great odds. Definitely use promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook at sign up. So let's get into our shout outs and call outs, Horwat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you start with your shout out. I know your call out is pretty interesting. We'll probably leave that for the last one of the show. So just a heads up, you're going to be bringing up the rear, but start us off with your shout out first.
I'm going to shout out someone I shouted out a few weeks ago because he finished his trek across America. Steven Johns is back again in my shout out list because he said a few weeks ago after his retirement and his bouts with depression and mental illness and all that, he set out to do something that he hoped would change something in his life, which was rollerblade across the country, starting in the Pennsylvania area. But who cares? Still, regardless, it's a hell of a feat. He made it all the way across. He finished in, I forget where now, but he did it. And I don't have all the details with me. I just kind of saw that he finished it up, and I figured that's a good shout out because it's something that is important to both of us. It was a cool story to watch from beginning to end. And if you haven't heard about it, go look it up. It's great stuff, beginning to end. And some of the photos that he and I forget the guy's name. I did terrible research on this, clearly. But it's all there. He took the Dallas Stars, I think, just one of their photographers with him, and they took phenomenal photos the entire way across. So go find the information, go find the photos, go see the story that Steven Johns told the whole way across. The mental miles, that's what it was called.
Yeah, hashtag mental miles. Yeah, it was a great journey, definitely, to follow along with on Twitter and on Instagram. He got the gold bucket from Notre Dame in Illinois early on in his trip. I saw that he did go up to Chicago, diving into the lake up there. So definitely a really cool experience, even to just follow along on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, it's for a great cause, something that means a great deal to him and something that you mentioned means a great deal to us too. So definitely, worthy of a shout out to say the very least, especially. So definitely, I mean, we might try to get Steven Johns on here. I'd love to have him come on and talk about his experience, but we'll keep trying to do that for you listeners that would love to hear that. But my shout out goes to Rob Blake and the Los Angeles Kings for a fantastic move to acquire Viktor Arvidsson from the Nashville Predators for a second and third round pick. Of course, Viktor Arvidsson, we remember as Pittsburgh Penguins fans, somebody who we had to face in the 2017 Stanley Cup Finals. He was extremely, extremely impressive during that run for Nashville. And really all throughout those years when Nashville was extremely, let's say, competitive, because he was one of their top scorers. He still was one of their best offensive threats this season. The guy's only 28 years old. He has 3 years left at a $4.25 million AAV. It's a fantastic contract as well. And I do want to bring up his hockey reference here because he has struggled the past couple of seasons a little bit. He dealt with injury this past season. But if you look at the years before 2019-20, he had 31 goals in 2016-17. He had 29 in 2017-18, and he had 34 goals in only 58 games in 2018-19. So the guy can definitely put the puck in the back of the net. He's extremely impressive in the offensive zone. And we talked about 2016-17 in that playoff run. He had 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points in 22 games. Another really good showing for him. And like I mentioned, last couple of seasons have been a little rough. He dealt with injuries, only scored 10 goals this past season. But the thing with him is he's going to a team with a lot of young stars. He's going to a team with a lot of really good young players. If you need any evidence of that, just go back and look at the highlights of World Juniors last year with Arthur Kaliev, Alex Turcotte, and then you got to throw in Quentin Byfield as well. Cal Peterson is going to backstop the net there for them for a couple of years to come now. they have a really good team, and adding somebody like Arvidsson, who is in his prime and a great goal scorer, is just going to help change that culture a little bit more to get back to the winning ways that the Kings showed us in 2012 and 2014, but probably in a little bit more of a different way. Probably not more of the rough and tumble, a little bit more of the skill and finesse.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can remember having a conversation with you a long time ago. I think you were praising Arvidsson for something, and I said, he's not that great. Let's calm down. That was at the time, I think, before he popped off for those 30-goal seasons. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember definitely saying he wasn't that great. Last few years kind of helped me along with that, but
yeah.
No, he should be fun on the Kings, and the Kings are still a very interesting team. They got futures for damn sure. Now they have Arvidsson to add on top of Kopitar, who's still very good. Doughty, goaltending situation. All right, so
hey, Cal Peterson is going to be pretty good.
I sure hope so. That team should be a wagon if they can ever not play defensive-minded hockey. They want to play like the New York Islanders, but then just kind of can't. They can't score themselves, and they're not as good at it. That's the issue.
Yeah,
They've got great young players, though.
That used to be their identity, though. And I feel like they're trying to change that, especially you look at Quinton Byfield, you look at Kaliev and Turcotte. They look like they're changing their culture there to being more of an offensive first team instead of that New York Islander style, more like a New York Rangers style right now. I think they're probably a year or two behind where the Rangers are right now, but I feel like the Rangers they're ready to pop off next season. And we'll get into that when we start talking about next year's Metropolitan Division outlook. But no, I think the LA Kings have done a lot of things right with this rebuild. And I think this is just another move to add to the list. I think Rob Blake feels that it's time that they need to start adding experienced guys that are proven in the NHL. And Viktor Arvidsson is definitely that. So I think it was a great move on his part for sure.
Yeah, it should work out. If worse comes to worse, it doesn't. Well, it's not like you can go down any further.
Yeah, they're pretty much in the bottom half of the league the last couple of seasons. But my call out, before we get into your grandiose call out to end the show, my call out is to everybody that uses the word asterisk when talking about hockey, because they are out in full force again in the Stanley Cup Finals. And let's be quite transparent here. We're recording this on Tuesday. The finals could end on Wednesday before this comes out on Thursday, but the Asterisk crew has been out since the Lightning qualified for the Stanley Cup Final. Not even to bring it at that specific one, which I will do in a second, but just don't use it. It makes you, I don't want to say it makes you sound stupid, because it doesn't, but it makes it sound like you're complaining and whining about something that there's usually nothing wrong. Let's talk about the Lightning, for example. People want to put an asterisk by their entire back-to-back Stanley Cup championship run, because the cap situation with Kucherov this year, being able to be, what is it, $17 million over the cap in the playoffs?
That's just the cap being that's just the cap not working. But
that's also largely in part because Kucherov was on LTIR this year.
Yeah. Whenever I say it's the cap not working, I mean it's the cap having strange rules that
they are allowed to do.
Got worked out. Yeah,
exactly. So there's that. People are saying because they had two shortened seasons and the Penguins had to go through two full 82-game seasons. People are saying because they won last year in a bubble, it makes it easier. Listen, if you talk to or listen to anybody that was in that bubble for an extended period of time, it was not easy for them. It was not. And even if you look at this season, also not easy. Imagine having to get COVID tested every single morning. Yeah, sure, they're professional athletes. They're getting paid millions of dollars, but let's not take anything away from the accomplishments of a very, very good hockey team just because of situations that are out of their control. And also, let's not take it out of their hands because they use the cap rules to their advantage, which any other team would if the same thing would have happened. If Sidney Crosby would have actually suffered a really bad core muscle injury and would have had to miss all of the regular season, the Penguins would have done the same thing in a heartbeat. So as much as I'd like to, and a lot of it is probably just defending the Pittsburgh Penguins back-to-back, trying to make it still special as the only team to do it in the cap era. If the Lightning do it on Wednesday, which we don't know the outcome of that as of right now, it is just as impressive as the Pittsburgh Penguins back-to-back. There's different things that go through each of them, but let's not put an asterisk next to something because it's honestly lazy. Let's argue that, hey, there's more valor to this than that, but let's not just say, hey, put an asterisk there. They didn't deserve it. Okay, I can argue that there's an asterisk next to every single Stanley Cup champion the past 20 years.
Absolutely. And I think the asterisk crew is just coming out because a lot of sports talk, and this is just going over all sports in recent memory. And by recent memory, I guess we're in the year 2021 now, so this kind of dates back a long time now. But because the steroid era in baseball, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and cheating in football, LeBron James just being a hack in the NBA, everyone wants to throw asterisks all over these records, these championships, these stats that are getting put up because, people want to say Barry Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He shouldn't have the home run record because of steroids. Well, everyone in that era was using them. Literally everyone. That's just the way it is. You can't just throw an asterisk on that because you don't like them, because you think it's, one way or the other. The Tom Brady and Bill Belichick Patriots thing, I don't even remember the whole Deflategate story anymore. That's how much it really doesn't matter. That's how much we kind of look at Tom Brady as. He's won 6, 7?
6.
So I'm losing count. That's how many.
No, he has 7. He has 7.
The man's won 7 Super Bowls. You want to say he's won 4, 5, however, it's still a lot. It is still more than your favorite quarterback. So there you have it. The LeBron thing, I don't even know how to get into that. The NBA is just weird. I hate it.
I like the NBA this season because
it's finally new people.
It's Bucks Suns. That's exciting.
Also, someone from Pittsburgh. Let's go. Give me the Suns because of that. But with all that being said, people just want to use the asterisk term because we've kind of been, cooking in it a lot recently. Like, we're always discussing it when these guys get hit with the steroid allegations in baseball. It's, well, now you have to throw an asterisk next to all their stats. No, you don't. No, you don't. Test everyone. Because if it really, really meant something, then don't you think they would actually strip away the stats, the MLB, or would they would actually strip away things? The Hall of Fame voting, I don't know if he's legitimately ineligible or if the voters are just not for it.
Who, Pete Rose?
Any of them. Yeah. Any of them. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, all of them. I don't know if Shoeless Joe is actually ineligible, which is it's a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if these guys, I forget if these guys are actually ineligible or if the voters are just very much against it because they should be in it. That's all that I have to say about it to start there. But that's kind of why people want to put asterisks on this cup, because shortened season, COVID, different season. You can only play certain teams, couldn't travel that much, and it was shortened. It was different. Do people still want to throw the asterisk on the Chicago Blackhawks second cup, the shortened season there, 48 games? No, they don't want to.
Because they also did the same thing with Patty Kane in that season, I'm pretty sure. No, they didn't. Patty Kane was a big integral part, but they did that in 2015, I believe.
Oh, I don't remember them doing it.
Yeah, they did the same thing that the Lightning did with Kucherov, but you want to know how ridiculous somebody that just says, oh, put an asterisk there sounds to me? To me, it sounds like somebody saying, you know what, the St. Louis Blues should have an asterisk next to their Stanley Cup championship in 2019 because the San Jose Sharks shouldn't have been in the Western Conference Finals because of that 5-minute penalty against Vegas. Vegas should have beat San Jose, and the Vegas would have beaten St. Louis. So therefore, St. Louis's cup is moot point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can nitpick every little play, every little thing the entire way through. You want me to argue that the Penguins could have won every cup since 1967? I will. I will go back and find the research. Okay, that's just how. This is why we play the game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, whoever raises the cup is the Stanley Cup champion. Whatever happened before that, it might suck. Yeah, there might be missed calls. Yeah, there might be some funny business with the salary cap that is still, again, legal. But at the end of the day, that's who did it. It's not going to change.
Take it back to the Stars winning in 99. That was a rule that was technically broken when they scored in overtime. But guess what? Good goal. Moving right along. They won the cup.
You look at the Stanley Cup. Is it the Dallas Stars, their name on the cup? Yeah, it is.
Is there an asterisk next to it?
No, there's not. So I know that was a little bit probably more of a tangent than I should have gone on about an asterisk or anybody that says that. But, that's something that bothers me. And
I get
what this segment is for. So
I get
Horwat,
it. And I just expanded it because it's a sports thing for me.
Yeah, I concede the floor and the mic and the airtime to you for your call out to end out this show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is with a heavy heart that I must relinquish my title of sports journalist because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, guys. I just couldn't do it. I didn't cover high school sports. I've never done that. And according to the end-all, be-all, the king of Pittsburgh sports media, I cannot call myself a sports journalist if I have never covered high school football. So I will turn in my badge at the desk on my way out. I will hang up my quill, and I will continue writing for the literal fan, whether or not I'm a sports journalist or not. My goodness, man. Mark Madden with his takes today, going after those. This is what I would say this is pretending, ladies and gentlemen. Me and you sitting behind this mic are pretending.
We hope you don't take anything we say with valor, because apparently we're pretend reporters.
Apparently we pretend to take time out of our days to sit behind these mics in our hot apartments, and in front of very warm machines. Like, my laptop has been yelling at me with its vent the entire recording here. Apparently we are pretend. Did he say pretend journalists? I don't even remember how he put it.
I'm not exactly sure how he put it, but I also do want to mention I'm not a pretend journalist then, because I covered high school football at the age of 12. Does that give me more merit than anybody else because I covered high school football on radio I was 12 years old? Does that make me that much better than anybody else? No, it doesn't. It just means I covered a season of high school football at the age of 12. That's all that means. It means absolutely nothing to my actual credibility.
Exactly. I will say I am rereading the tweet that I quoted and said, I guess I have to send my degree back, and say he does say you cannot declare yourself an analyst out of the blue because you watch games on TV. To be fair, I do not consider myself an analyst. I will start there, because that is a title that I do feel like you do have to work for a little more. I do consider myself more of just a sports journalist
sports commenter. Yeah, I forget what's my exact Twitter bio. I don't even remember now.
Contributor. I'm a contributor. I'm not an actual analyst because, I don't know what the full definition or how journalism looks at analysts. But I am just a guy who, writes for the hockey writers, writes for the Fan and KDKA, and has a podcast on this network. So one way or the other, I've gotten, some degree of respect somewhere out there, right? I will say, for what it is worth, Mark Madden, there's one thing you cannot deny about him, and that he has a long resume in this field, in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the resume. He's done his work, and good for him. Congratulations. There is no reason for you to just be taking time out of your apparently very busy day that you always claim to be very busy, to just attack these, attack and tear down these people that are just trying to do what they love. Let's say me and you had this podcast as a hobby, like we did at one point, right? We did. Granted, it was a radio show that turned into a hobby podcast that turned into this. Thank you, everyone, for listening. The TLDR of our backstory. But there's no reason for him to be coming after, people who just do it as a hobby because maybe they want to build something one day. And this is a great way of doing it. It's a great way of doing it. There's no reason why he should be going after those kind of people and tearing them down for claiming to be analysts or sports journalists, because who knows? Maybe those people aren't claiming that. You were just kind of falsely labeling them and then smacking them across the face for no reason. It's wild. My degree will be in the mail to Point Park, as soon as I can, Mr. Mark. I'm sorry. And we must all now bow down to the king of Pittsburgh sports media, Mark Madden, where, again, as I said, I will just continue working for the B team, which is, regardless of what he wants to say, highly credible.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I'm not giving up. Dude's an asshole.
No.
Put it as it is. And, and I think Danny Shirey Irving, who we mentioned last week or the week before, according to Mark, you have zero integrity unless you wasted a couple years of your life writing articles about your crappy high school football team, which, to be fair, my high school football team was okay and then very good for a year. But I just wasn't into journalism yet. How about that? That's while I was in high school. Granted, can always do it as an adult. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know if you consider this covering. I did work at the Post-Gazette for like a couple months, taking in high school sports scores. Does that count?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask the super genius about that one.
Damn it! I'm
you know, he responded a lot to Shyree Irving at Danny on Twitter. He also did to Zach Smith, who was on this very show a couple months ago. Obviously, both of them have extremely good content because otherwise they wouldn't even be on his radar.
Yeah,
there's a reason that he responds to them. It's because honestly, I don't want to say he feels threatened because I don't know his feelings. I don't know his feelings. But it appears like a mental midget status where you can't take the fact that other people are taking eyes and ears away from you. But honestly, Mark Madden, probably one of the most listened to sports voices in Pittsburgh history.
Yeah.
There's nothing to take away from him. He's just taking it away from other people, which makes no sense. It's mental midget status to me. I think Zach Smith and the guys that are around the 412 do a fantastic job. Shyree Irving, Danny does a fantastic job. Hunter Hodes, our friend from Locked On Penguins, does a fantastic job. Doug Gladkey, who's a friend of the show, does a fantastic job. All of these guys do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you need to go and try to knock somebody down a peg because all that does, and I hope we contribute to it as well. I don't want to say whether we do or we don't. All that does is increase the coverage of the team that we care about.
Yeah.
And if people want to listen to it and enjoy it and learn something, hopefully, from us, or at the very least, just be entertained by it. Just listen to the hockey talk. What is wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with that. I have on my bio that I'm a host of a hockey podcast. That's okay. On our podcast Twitter, it says news and analysis. Why? Because we take what we see. We take what we read. I take what I watch. I watch game film just as much as the next guy. And I analyze it in the way that I do. It doesn't mean that there's one right way to analyze a game. You analyze it anyway. You watch it and you analyze it from your couch. You analyze commercials. You analyze movies. It's not some big, you're an analyst. It's not some big grandiose statement. It just means you're somebody that looks at it, takes the information down, and provides what you thought of it. That's an analysis. That's nothing special. So,
and you can even go through, if you want to like really get into me not calling myself an analyst because I don't know how to consider myself that. Hello, Siri. Nice to meet you.
My watch decided that he wanted to chime in.
Go through all my stories. I don't have a single interview in there. All the stuff that I write about is, it's all research. I all kind of looked it up and kind of put things together. And granted, some of the ranking stuff I do is all me, but it's different. There's no reason for you, for what it is worth, the epitome of Pittsburgh sports media, as damn bad
nationwide. Nationwide he is. I mean, nobody can take that.
Like, there are people in Canada who hear the name Mark Madden and go, "Oh, that guy. Yeah, I know who that is." That's something. That is something for him to really. There's usually some expletives around there, but but they know who he is. They know who he is, whether it's good or bad. So it's wild. I mean, my bio is I'm part of the Odyssey Pittsburgh digital team, which is the fan, KDK, star, and Y108. Co-host of the Ice-Burgh podcast on our network, and a Penguins writer for the Hockey Writers. That's it. Yeah. I'm not claiming out here to sports journalist. I went to college. I did go to school for it, though, so for what it is worth. Yeah, there's a paper from an accredited university that says you're that. And I know we're spending a lot of time on this. It's mainly because it's the end of the show and we really don't have anything left to talk about. So if you did tune out, we apologize, but you shouldn't have, because we do have an announcement for a giveaway at the end of this episode. So, and we'll get there in a minute. I'm almost done. I promise. This is something that popped off on Twitter for a little bit while I was at work and I couldn't see it happen live. I'm a little upset at that, but it happens. And whenever things happen on social media, at first I didn't want to give this the time of day. Correct. Right? I didn't. But then I kind of saw everyone piling onto it. And slow news day, let's be honest. We're recording this before Tampa Bay might be winning the Stanley Cup at home whenever their mayor asks them to. So who knows? But slow news day, let's be honest. And this is newsworthy to us. It is newsworthy to, I would hope, our listeners, because a lot of them are people that Mark Madden would be attacking. So we all support each other. We all are here for each other. And Ark, you've done your work. We can acknowledge you've done your work. You've put in the time. You've put in the effort. You've gotten where you are because of something, and good for you. But man, let us have our fun. Some of us might build careers off of it. You never know.
Yep. So I think at the end of the day, the point is, you mentioned a lot of our listeners are people that are content creators, and a lot of our listeners, if not, are people that listen to those fellow content creators. I'm sure we have a lot of our listeners that listen to Around the 412 and Locked On Penguins. So yeah, it matters to them. But we're going to wrap this up. Before we say goodbye for this episode, we do want to mention, if you head over to our Twitter page at Ice-Burgh Podcast, as my cat's jumping into my face, we have a giveaway that started today. Make sure you retweet the pinned tweet, you tag 2 friends, and make sure you're following us at Ice-Burgh Podcast for your opportunity to win a free Pittsburgh Clothing Company t-shirt of your choosing. So that will be going for 2 weeks and will be going up until the day after the expansion draft. And if you win, which we'll pick 2 winners, you will get to pick your choice of Pittsburgh Clothing Company t-shirts. So make sure you go there, like I said, at Ice-Burgh Podcast. All you have to do is retweet the post, tag 2 friends, and make sure you're following us on Twitter. So that is going to be it for this episode of The Tip of the Iceberg. We hope you enjoyed our little rants, because there were a couple of rants there. But Horwat, any last words before we send the folks home for the weekend?
No, just enter the contest, do what you can, get yourself a nice, I'm trying to look at their shirts, get yourself a nice 87 over is greater than 8 shirt. Get yourself a nice Pittsburgh Vegas backers. If they were still in it, that'd be fun. But yeah, I have your chance to win any of these phenomenal shirts. I have a couple. I have the 66 is greater than 99 shirt. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, have an opportunity to win that, people. And thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. Mark, if you hear this, hit us up.
He won't listen to it because we're technically not real journalists. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Tip of the Iceberg. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, Pens fans.